Now welcome to another news from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
First story today, the Acolyte will show how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi Order according to Daphne Keene.
Huh?
Yep, we're getting there. Alright, anyone who doesn't know, Daphne Keene, she was X-23 in Logan. She's also the star of the HBO His Dark Materials. She's out doing press tour for the final season of that right now. While she was out there, she spoke with Tech Radar, kind of, talking about the series, and she was asked if she could share any information about the Acolyte. Of course, she made the joke, I can't tease anything. I can say it's a prequel, which is something we already knew.
We already know it's a prequel, yeah.
Yes. But she went into a bit of further depth, contextualizing how the series fits into the tapestry of Star Wars, according to her.
I think you need to put an asterisk by that. Assuming,
That's why I
only
said
know,
according
I
to
only know
her.
what you've said so far, and it seems strange.
What she said was, as you know, it's set 100 years before the prequel movies, and it's kind of an explanation of how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi. It's a Sith-led story, which has never been done before. It's been really fun to film. The cast is amazing, and the director and crew are just lovely. The whole experience is wonderful, and I'm already excited for people to see it.
How the Sith infiltrated the Jedi Order.
I knew that would get you.
That sounds wrong for so many reasons.
Does
Does she mean influence the Jedi Order? Is she
I could see the word
a poorly
influence
chosen
being
word?
correctly because we know what the High Republic Jedi are like.
Yeah, they're kind
you
of...
more than me. I haven't
Yeah,
read much. But.
they're very idealistic Jedi. They're kind of like prequel Jedi in many ways. They are, not saying that prequel Jedi are wrong, but prequel Jedi are a little embroiled too much with the Republic and
Right.
politics and stuff. And you see that in the High Republic quite a bit. But they're still kind of virtuous, very virtuous, maybe too virtuous in some ways, I guess.
But the ones we know from the prequel trilogy are more politic-driven, it seems.
Yes.
Definitely. Especially we saw that in Tales to the Jedi. If you follow Dooku's story, especially, that they
you
are
are
very...
seeing the problems that arise, yes.
Absolutely. He is very... We should be helping the people, doing what is right, doing the real calling of the Jedi. And they're like, the Republic said... I'm like, that's not what you should be saying.
Yeah, in the High Republic, you are seeing the Jedi helping the Republic expand into the Outer Rim and such. At least in Phase 1. Phase 2 has just started, so it's hard to really know where they're going with it. But in Phase 1, it's really about expanding into the Outer Rim. The Jedi are kind of like... They are described as, by Lucasfilm, this is not my description, kind of like the Rangers of the, of the Outer Rim. Think of like the Lone Ranger out in the wild frontiers of, America back in the day.
I personally like Walker, Texas Jedi.
Every time I hear the word Ranger, unfortunately, I do think of...
Chuck Norris.
Yes, Chuck Norris. I wasn't even going to say it because Chuck Norris jokes will ensue.
It's fine. We love Chuck Norris.
I know. It's actually, I think they've died down. They were like one of the real first internet meme kind of things. Wasn't it like Chuck Norris jokes everywhere?
Yeah.
But I think those jokes predate the
They do.
kind of meme
They
culture.
really do.
Yeah, they are old school.
They were the in-person culture.
Yes.
Those are the jokes you said to your friends, just
Yes.
like your mama jokes. You said them in face to your friend, right?
They're kind of the precursor to the meme because it was like a joke in just a larger...
We're not going there.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I'll ramble about weird things for too long
As a reminder, The Acolyte is described as a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. They mention, two Jedi investigating a series of unusual crimes that lead to a far more sinister plot. What's important to remember, though, is the timeline. 100 years before, we know... How old do you think in the prequels, in the actual prequels, not the series, how old is Palpatine?
He's not 100 years old.
He's not 100 years old. What, 60s?
Probably 60s.
That's,
that's going to be roughly Dermot's age,
guess.
too. Yeah.
60s? So this series could very easily incorporate his master.
Well, it's almost certainly going. If you're talking about the Jedi Order, originally they said 50 years before the prequel. So now that she's saying 100, I don't know, maybe she's not. Again, I don't want to question her Star Wars knowledge, but maybe she is not exactly accurate. But you would think she is, like...
We don't know how much of a Star Wars fan she is.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
exactly.
But she is in the know. She's filming the thing, so you would think she would have some pretty they would have got her up to speed on some things.
But she isn't actually, like, the show's in production right now, but she's doing press tours for His Dark Materials.
Yeah.
So her brain may not fully be there yet.
Well, sure, we don't know what kind of role she has. She may have I'm assuming it's a larger role. She's been kind of announced, and so probably a larger role. But I mean, the problem with Infiltrate, how did the Sith infiltrate the Jedi Order?
I don't believe infiltrate is the correct word here at all that she used. It isn't. Definitely, we know that they influenced them, probably wrapped them closer to the Republic so that they would be corrupted by the politics. But I can't see them 100%. I mean, we know that even Palpatine became a senator and was using that to kind of influence the Jedi.
He was kind of using them as pawns and positioning them into the Clone Wars, and that backfired, obviously, on them.
So what's to say he did not learn that from his master?
Well, sure, but what I'm saying is you cannot... I mean, infiltrate implies you become a part of, right? You've infiltrated the Jedi Order, which is extremely hard to do considering they take on younglings who have no...
Another way that you could look at this, we remember hearing a story about, like, Amanda Stenberg's character?
Yeah.
That she is supposedly sister to somebody who the Jedi took when they were young.
Sure.
And she follows this dark path because she wants to be with her sister, and then will be, I think she's going to be corrupted. And could infiltrate simply mean she still has connections and ties and communicates with her sister and gains inside information?
But that's not exactly what infiltrate means. That means like having a spy within the Order, right?
Right, but her sister could become a spy within the Order.
I suppose.
Maybe she's playing that sister. Who even knows?
I don't know. Infiltrate is a weird word because there are two Sith. At least there used to be. It seems Disney's, with the Sith Eternal and all these things that they've put into the sequel trilogy, they're implying the Sith are more like a faction, which once upon a time, yes, they were.
Once upon a time, they definitely were a faction.
But then this little thing called the Rule of Two happened about 1,000 years before the prequels with Darth Bane, and we were only supposed to have two.
Right, but somehow those two are all the Sith, which still makes them a community.
I guess. I mean, I'm not saying they can't have operatives in the shadows and all these things, and Inquisitors. We can discuss how much sense they make in the Sith hierarchy or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like Ventress wasn't a Sith-ish. She was an assassin.
Yeah.
So they like to bend the rules.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't quite understand, seeing as they've only known the Rule of Two. Maybe they don't quite fully get, like Dooku maybe doesn't quite understand why you only need two, and he's like, well, then I would need one so that we can overthrow him.
Well, that's the Rule of Two, though. There's
for brief times, there's always three?
Well, there's almost always three. Honestly, I mean, that's kind of the irony of it. I mean, listen to Lucas himself kind of describe it. The apprentice is always looking for an apprentice himself to kill the master.
Because the apprentice may not be able to kill the master alone, so he needs someone to help him fight him to win.
And the master is always looking for a new apprentice before that one gets too strong.
It's almost the Rule of Four.
It's yes.
So it's each Sith follows the Rule of Two, meaning that they can only have one until they find a new one.
I mean, just the idea is that the Sith cannot get along. They cannot find a common ground. I shouldn't say common ground, but they just can't cooperate.
Right, because they desire and hoard power. They don't want to share it.
Yes, exactly.
They want someone to help them and be their disciple, but they at the same time do not want to share that power with them.
Yeah, they're so selfish. They're the epitome of selfishness that they cannot fathom really working and trusting, somebody else, because they'll overthrow them or they'll betray them. Even Anakin, he's been a Sith for like 5 minutes. He's telling Padme, I can overthrow him. Like, to get what I want, I'll just discard this guy. Like, doesn't matter that I just knelt and said I'll join you and be your apprentice and I want to learn everything you know, but now I've changed my mind.
That Sith mindset sets in fast.
Yeah.
All right. Well, reminder that the Acolyte is in production. It's going to be released either very, very late 2023 or sometime early first half, I'd say, of 2024 as the best guess we have available.
Yeah, very interesting. I still think Infiltrated is
the wrong word.
It can't mean what I think it means.
I think maybe she hasn't even read the whole script. We don't know 100%.
She probably has only read what she is involved with.
Right. Next story today, we're going to talk a little bit about John Kasden. He said he'd return for a solo sequel, and he wants to see Alden Ehrenreich back as Han Solo. John Kasden was out promoting the press tour for Willow, which is on Disney Plus, and I can't wait to talk about it. And during the press tour, Solo, a Star Wars story, came up several times. Of course, Kasdan co-wrote that with his father, Lawrence Kasdan, In one interview, he was open about the original plans for the Solo sequels and willingness to do more. He wanted to see Alden back in the Millennium Falcon for more Star Wars adventures.
I think Lando was the closest thing we would have got to Solo, too.
I think you're right.
Unfortunately, I mean, I know some people like Solo, some people don't like Solo. It's another one of those properties that seems to be, it has its fans, it has its detractors. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it seems Disney blames the failure of Solo on, you know, this kind of idea of Star Wars fatigue. They see Solo as like the low point. They're kind of failing to see that it was actually The Last Jedi that probably had a big part of setting up Solo for failure.
Right. After watching that, I was like, oh.
Yeah, so Solo kind of
Solo now?
takes the brunt of The Last Jedi. Kind of like you could say the same about Andor now. Andor seems to have very low numbers. Is that because people checked out after Boba Fett and Kenobi? And what kind of understanding of that does Disney have? Do they get why Andor might not be pulling in the numbers? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. He was asked about Solo and his thoughts on the Make Solo 2 Happen movement. He said, I feel that too. I'm certainly one of those people. And when that time of year rolls around, my imagination goes to all the things we intended to do.
Yeah, I truly believe Solo was meant to set up a kind of a mini story arc kind of thing, like an offshoot trilogy in and of itself. They signed all those actors to multiple years, or movies, I should say.
Right, I mean, Kasden explained that Solo, the first one, of course, was Han's journey to becoming the version of Han Solo we meet in A New Hope, after being, burned by Beckett, burned by Kira, and kind of Lando a little bit. He's separated from him, and that if Solo was the journey to that, the follow-up, Solo 2, would be kind of Alden getting to play a fully realized version of Han Solo, closely related, of course, to the one we know from the original trilogy.
Yeah, I think there was some ideas there with Maul and Crimson Dawn to do something into, make some sort, which doesn't make sense because Han is a very he doesn't believe in the Force, calls it a hokey religion, all these things at that point. In other words, he's probably never seen like a Darth Maul, so if he was going to somehow be your main antagonist of the Solo spin-off, whatever, it wouldn't make sense because if Han encountered Maul, he's probably not going to think it's a hokey religion.
Right, it would just kind of be weird. I can't even imagine Han and Maul together.
It doesn't.
I don't know.
Could be because Maul got chopped in half.
Could be. John Kasdan also gave his praise for the current and future slate of Star Wars programming, including Andor, which he refers to as the best Star Wars show ever.
Yeah, hands down.
It's too phenomenal to not.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it is. I mean, there's been other good stuff, don't get me wrong, but Andor is on another level. And
on another note, Lawrence Kasdan recently said a follow-up to Solo is the one thing he would consider returning to Star Wars for.
Interesting.
Though he would prefer a film over a series.
Yeah.
I think that the one thing I'll come back for is that Solo guy.
Well, everybody loves Han, right?
Yeah. It is Han. It's hard to argue against that logic.
Yeah, I just don't think it's ever going to happen. Except I think Lando was the closest thing. That Lando may have picked up some of the threads from Solo and done something with them, but...
It depends if Bob Iger comes up and goes, how fast can you make a movie?
Well, that was the problem the first time he said that we were doing too much too quickly and
now we're doing nothing, so...
Well, on the movie front, yeah.
On the movie front, which is it's a big front, because some people don't ever watch these series on Disney+. Some people are only here for the movies.
Yeah, a lot of people. I would say a good chunk of fans only ever watch the movies. All right, well, that is all we got for you this time, so do take to the comments below and tell us what you think about the Sith infiltrating the Jedi Order. What could that possibly mean, or is that just kind of a
misspoke?
She's misspoke and means kind of influencing. Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.